32. It's time now for a consumer alert, and first-time home buyers in this region have more options than ever before. Many trying to buy a condo or considering condo.
Yes.
Don't want to do single-family homes, and those are definitely come with their own share of pros and cons. So we have Realtor Jay Nix here with us today. Let's begin with the condos and what works if you're looking to buy one.
Well, if you're looking to build long-term equity, long-term value, then a condo could be the way to go because you have lower, softer price points right now. The condo market is suppressed, so there's more negotiating power, and getting the closing costs covered, which is a huge deal when you're buying a condo or a single-family home. Closing costs are those out-of-pocket expenses up front. They run about 3% of the sales price. So like a $500,000 condo, you're looking at $15,000 to $16,000 out of pocket. If you can get that covered, then you've got money in the bank to either just save it towards paying your monthly fees and or investing in other properties or investments.
Okay, so it could be easy, at least initially, easier getting
Sure.
into the home.
Exactly.
But then you also have those condo fees.
The condo fees, let's dispel the myth about the condo fees. Yeah, the condo fees force you to save money set aside for maintenance long term. So yes, they are high in some cases. And what we saw because of Surfside and the changes because of those that accident is that buildings have had to build up the reserves and enforce maintenance. And so if you're buying a condo, you're setting aside these fees each month to do the maintenance long term. If you're buying a single family home, chances are you're not setting aside $300 or $400 a month to maintain your home. With the condo, you're forced to do that, so it helps maintain the building, maintain your investment, and you've got a collective pool of people who you're working together to maintain the building. So while it may seem high at the offset, it is a long-term smart investment to have those fees. And then some fees include your water, electric, and things like that. So it's really, some of those monthly expenses are wrapped into those fees, which they're not with a home.
When those monthly expenses exceed $600, I mean, I've seen some $850, $1,200.
Sure.
Does that make a lot of sense, or does it just all depend on the situation in the building?
Depends on what you're looking for. So
Okay.
if you're looking for the 24-hour concierge front desk service, that's going to cost you money. A swimming pool, any amenities are going to cost you money. But if you're looking at a bare bones, like a 4-unit conversion for a single-family home that's been converted for condos or a smaller building that doesn't have an elevator, then your fees typically should be lower. That's all things you have to factor in your wish list.
So in our market specifically here in the DMV, would you say is wiser or better to buy a condo over a single family home, or vice versa?
Right now, if you're looking for long-term, building long-term equity and staying in that property a long time, a condo is probably a way to go. The out-of-pocket expenses I mentioned and all that stuff, you won't build enough equity in a short-term time period to make a profit or break even. But if you're going to be here for a long time, 6, 7 years, then a condo could be a way to go if you want to invest in your future. Now, when you're renting, you're paying somebody else's mortgage. So if you want to quit doing that and pay your own, invest in your own self, then a condo could be a way to go to get into the game. Because there's a lot of single-family homes right now. It's very competitive. It's hard to do, and they're very expensive. And condo prices are softer, so there's more negotiating power, whether it's the price or getting those closing costs covered.
Do you find that it's harder to sell a condo?
Right now, yes, because one of the reasons why condo market is suppressed is of COVID, and so we have that mindset that when you're working from home, you need more space. You need that home office or outdoor space. So a lot of potential first-time buyers, which make up the condo market, have decided to wait it out, save up money, and go for gold and buy that first home. So that's one reason that the condo market has been soft, higher interest rates, and then those condo fees you mentioned. Also, the last factor is the amenity-rich apartments. So a lot of people, you have the 24-hour concierge, you have the pool, you have the gym, you have the office built into the apartment building. And so it used to be DC apartments were not as nice. Now they're super nice. It used to be an upgrade to buy a condo. Now it's kind of like an even split.
Wow. Thank you so much, Jay,
Sure.
for breaking all of that down. You always do.
Oh, thank you.
So I appreciate your time and your expertise.